how to place this into context. Do you think World of Warcraft is in the best place it's ever been, numbers-wise?
I think it's in a very, very good space, numbers-wise. Just from actually getting into groups, doing content, like the actual feed that you have as a player with in-game people. I don't know what the numbers are. I actually haven't looked at all of the...
Nobody knows what the numbers are.
Yeah, but you can infer a little bit of data from the logs. I mean, we've done this in Dragonflight with Season 3, I think, when we did a red video. We looked at the parses and we noticed...
We looked, but we kind of like noted the popularity of the
it was like 3 times as high as any of the past expansions prior to Shadowlands as well.
True.
But, because other than that, we don't really have any data to go on. It feels like it's populated.
The thing is, like, we have to make a huge disclaimer here. Like, the numbers we're going to look at are in no way an accurate representation of what the actual numbers are. They're just ballparking on where the total number of players could be. All right, because there's a lot of like data from Warcraft Logs, obviously. Now that doesn't mean like each and every log or each and every parse means each an individual player. Okay, it just means that maybe Flame over here logged his Fire Mage 10 times, then he logged 5 times on his Paladin. So you cannot really count him as 15 unique players. However, you do tend to see some growth there, some big one. I would definitely say, as you will see in a couple of moments. But all of this like player number stuff, all of this kind of started with a tweet from Kihra, the creator of Warcraft Logs. This was back at the beginning of September, where he basically stated that he's pretty sure that World of Warcraft is at this point breaking record numbers in terms of player count, and this is all due to what he's getting in his influx on Warcraft Logs. There's a lot of tweets from Kihra, but this is the first one, all right? So he says, I'm going to quote him, all right? This is on September 8th. I'm fairly certain that World of Warcraft is at an all-time high player count across its entire lifetime. The number of players in China playing Wrath of the Lich King is on par with the highest retail peak we've ever seen in Warcraft Logs lifetime.
Jeez.
Then add in Season of Discovery and the War Within on top of that. Okay, so this already goes to show the key factor here is the Chinese people, because then, after Bobby left, they had a little bit of a tumble, NetEase and Blizzard, and Chinese players didn't really play too much after that, like at all.
They had a little break, a little bit of vacation.
But we all know, like WoW over there is huge. So whenever that market opens up, you can bet your ass the numbers will be boosted up. But we're not putting the total value just on Chinese players 100%, because there's also merit to be had with War Within, as we will see.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, then he went on to actually deliver some numbers, Mr. Kihra. So 11 million characters with Ulduar logs in the China Wrath of the Lich King. 11 million. Do keep in mind, the biggest peak WoW had was in Wrath of the Lich King, and that was 12 million subscribers. Okay, so this only from the Chinese logs on Ulduar, right? Okay. From Wrath of the Lich King Classic. All right. Now, this is a tweet from last week. Okay, and this is kind of bringing it back to how it is in the current day, with also adding War Within and such.
All right.
So Classic in China, okay, here it is. Classic in China on Thursday and retail on Wednesday had comparable users on Warcraft Logs.
Jesus.
Huge traffic from both games. Now, first of all, let's take all of these tidbits, bite-sized infos, right?
It's a lot of...
And you would think, like, if it started off with 11 million logs, okay, this doesn't mean 11 million players.
It's 11 million characters.
Yeah, so it's not it's not the actual numbers, all right? But it's huge, even for Warcraft Logs. Like the dude said, he's the creator of Warcraft. He said this is the biggest thing in Warcraft Logs, is history, all right? And now you circle that to what happened last week when both Classic and War Within were bringing in the same traffic.
Well, you would normally triple. Well, Classic, no, but you would double that number.
Classic was a much bigger deal than retail in China. So
okay,
the
Classic, I guess, includes Season of Discovery and Kihra numbers, I would imagine.
Kihra is not that popular. No, it's
Wrath. People still play Wrath.
Yeah, I think it's different over there. They operate on different levels over there.
That's fine.
All right, so we're looking at this information, first of all, okay, and again, guys, it's not the actual numbers, but it gives you a rough picture on where we stand currently, like with the player counts. And I believe, like, only based on this, but we're going to go to present day numbers from Warcraft Logs to see exactly. But I believe right now, with how World of Warcraft has been, like, segmented up. So you have your classic, you have your Season of Discovery, retail. Is hardcore still a thing? I'm not sure. I don't think anybody plays anymore. But there's the vanilla servers. So we have, like, the current World of Warcraft franchise is being segmented into multiple avenues to satisfy each player's needs or whatever. Because of that, I do believe right now, also adding the War Within's generally good reception, that WoW is at an all-time high player numbers. They will never go public with this, or maybe they talk about it in their shareholder meetings or whatever, but it definitely feels like there's a lot more folks playing, and the general sentiment is that, you know, War Within is good.
Well, it's definitely different than the sentiment that we've had in Dragonflight, because we consider Dragonflight to be incredibly good compared to everything else, and not a lot of people agreed with that. You know, there were like mixed feelings, because coming from the trauma of Shadowlands was deep, and now it feels like it's almost unanimous that the War Within is seen as probably, like, definitely way better. People probably hesitate to compare it and say it's like the best. It has a long way to go to be the best.
It is the best. I'm calling it. It's the best.
People probably think of the best with an emotional mind, what they associated with Arthas, or maybe Illidan or the Burning Legion. Usually, you know, Wrath and Legion, maybe Mop are being, you know, shoved out
for me, it's Cataclysm and Mop. Controversial.
So people use that, but if you really think about it in the technical sense, Breath of the Lich King, the War Within is actually a really good expansion. Like, technically speaking, probably definitely the best out of all. We've talked about this.
The numbers should indicate that. I mean, if it was a bad expansion, you would see this also from the Chinese logs, but you don't. This is like breaking even for them. But now I took the liberty of pulling some data out. Now, okay, guys, I didn't really like pull everything out because it's massive, but I took Mythic Nerubra Palace, okay, and these are like the smallest parses because it's really fresh still, right? Yeah. So this is from today, all right? So we have 55k parses. Not a lot.
What difficulty is this?
This is Mythic.
All right.
This is Mythic. Pay attention.
Mythic.
Yeah, Mythic. Okay, so Mythic is very fresh. It doesn't really have that much data on, and I only pulled out DPS. Okay, the only places I pulled out data from tanks and healers are Mythic Plus, but this I only pulled out DPS just to make it even more controversial. So all Mythic is fresh, okay? It's still like race warfare still going on. Not a lot of people are parsing. We all know the drill, but still, what do we have? 2 weeks since Mythic, or a week?
Yes, we're in the second week, right?
Okay, so we're in the second week of Mythic, and we have 55k. You wouldn't be impressed by this. Fair enough. Let's go over to heroic parses. 2.9 million, baby, only from the DPS. Okay, this is a huge win in popularity for the actual raid. I feel like even for the raid tends to be good, and I feel like the general sentiment is it's a good raid, good bosses, sure, pretty good pacing. Okay, maybe not everybody loves the aesthetics or, you know, the fact that it has a lot of bugs or spiders or whatever. Sure, but overall, in terms of like, okay, you want to have fun within the raid, pretty good, right? This is heroic. Now let's check out normal parses, which is basically the huge crowd. 5.6 million parses. Again, only DPS. All right, I didn't put in here the tanks, the healers, just the DPS. So by these comparisons, and I couldn't like really verify how it was like 2 weeks after like Vault of the Incarnates,
sure,
or 2 weeks after what was it, Castle Nathria. Sure. But I'm pretty sure these are at least somewhat bigger than those raids previously were, okay? Because this is looking like fantastic. Once again, I'm disclaiming this the whole time. These are not the actual player numbers, but it does show the participation. And by the way, you would think that raiding is the #1 activity, in World of Warcraft, okay? But it's not. Like, you have a lot of players who do not play at all this. A lot of play delves. I would love for Warcraft Logs to pull out data for delves and stuff. But this is just purely from Warcraft Logs and the raids. Now, we have to look at the Mythic Plus situation as well. And again, I pulled out data from all keys. This is all specs. So like all the data Warcraft Logs could possibly get in the past 2 weeks. All right.
Maybe.
So Mythic Plus parses.
Jesus, that's a lot of numbers.
It's big. 7.1 million.
7 million. Jesus.
Right. This is 2 weeks. This 2 weeks. All right. And this includes all. Now imagine if I would have put like tanks and healers on raids, we would have had bigger numbers. But I feel like in Mythic Plus it's much more impactful and relevant because everybody's like, getting a lot more of these specs in, and it's like more rigid. But regardless, these are huge numbers, man.
7 million, dude. Fuck.
Yeah, this is present day. What I wanted to go with this is like pulling out all the numbers from today, like up until today, and then pairing it up with what Kihra from Warcraft Logs said. It just goes to show that either we're crazy or the game is insanely popular. And I'm talking War Within now.
So that's the thing, because we've done this before, and I was trying to get like some reference point and looking at past logs right now. I don't know if their database shifts, but right now, just looking at the previous numbers, the numbers are just like way lower. I don't know if like normal rates peaks over 1 million or 1.5 million. We have like 5 million now.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, so what
like,
you're saying...
Like season 1, Vault of the Incarnates, just looking at the overall number of logs.
Where they archive a lot of the logs, right?
Yeah,
so you have to go like full subscription mode to access all of those in the past. But I didn't really want to go like super geeky because it's an open discussion, right? I just want to pull out some data and just ballpark it and look like from a bird's eye view, right? Because it's clearly, from this at least, and once again, this is only Mythic Plus and raids. This does not count for people who are doing delves, who are leveling like maniacs, who are doing like RP, who are doing like all of the open world stuff. There's a lot of folks that are actually doing that. Like delves were introduced exactly for those players. When I want to be solo, I don't want to have nothing to do with raiding or the social aspect, Mythic Plus, all of that. So that's not even accounting for those. And my guess is that like this on top of everything that was happening with Chinese players, because once again, Kihra mentioned that last week, both classic and retail were bringing in huge traffic.
These are huge numbers. One way you can say that people are playing multiple characters, so it's not like 7 million people playing, but at the same time, like you said, not everybody's...
Let's put it 2 million. Let's just ballpark it.
We don't even have to do that. We can just admit that everybody's not logging. Everybody that's playing WoW is definitely not logging, and there's a lot of people who actually don't raid or do Mythic Plus at all.
Yeah.
So we can probably take a ballpark guess, but it's definitely in the millions, and we haven't seen millions and millions.
I would say like my gut feeling based on all of this, right, is that War Within in its single form right now, it's probably looking close to like 6 or 7 actual players active right now. They will drop off.
Because for sure. It's the first month.
It always happens like we're still kind of almost like getting off of the peak of the expansion launch. Like they usually takes close to a month and then it trails off, and we're getting close to that month. So I'm thinking War Within currently is looking at around 6-7 million players. Okay, and I'm including this all continents, right? And Asia, Europe, Americas, all of that. But this is just War Within, right? Now, Classic is not a huge deal. I pulled out some Classic logs as well, like from Cataclysm and stuff, but those were only for like the Western audiences. Okay. And that wasn't really that impressive, like 500,000 or something like that. But the thing, what you have to realize, like in China, Classic is huge. It's huge, like big numbers. It always was. Okay.
If you put them together, it's gonna be a lot of numbers. I think
so. This is what I'm saying. This is why I placed that title like that, because if War Within has 67 million, this is my approximation, right?
Sure.
And China has to have in Classic, I mean, right now, at least the same amount.
Jesus,
we're looking.
Definitely peaking.
We're looking at past the peak of Wrath of the Lich King. Now, mind you, it's 2 different eras, right? Wrath of the Lich King was only Wrath of the Lich King. There was no Classic. There was no season of it. There was nothing. It was just that. Now we're looking at 4 different versions of World of Warcraft. But if you pack all of those player bases together, I strongly believe that they have surpassed the, 2009 or 10 peak. It was around that year.
Yeah.
And this is like super huge. Like whatever they planned on, back in Shadowlands after the whole disaster, and they I don't know, reshaped everything and they put up a new strategy or whatever, it kind of pays out, right? It looks like it's paying out right now.